Hello, family, and welcome to another segment of Sound Mind. My name is Bryant Collier, and thank you for joining me today. Listen, we appreciate everything you do for the Hope TV, your continuous support of viewing every week, specifically for Sound Mind, and coming just to share this stream with other people. We are so appreciative of it. And I'm going to ask you to do what I always do. One, in the comments, tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're watching from. We would love to say hello to you. And in addition to that, please tag five people for our segment today. It's going to be phenomenal as always, but please tag them and share this as well. If you're on Facebook, you can do a watch party. If you're on one of our other platforms, you can just copy that link and share it with your friends, your family members, because they don't want to miss this segment. I want to thank Dr. E. Dewey Smith for his vision and leadership, for creating an opportunity for us to talk about not just the matters of the heart, but also the mind. Specifically within our community, it's so important, and we are grateful for that opportunity. Last but not least, I want to thank my team behind the scenes for all they do to make this work week after week. I appreciate you, and I thank you. Well, this month is October. The year is going by so fast, but this month we want to take some time to bring awareness to a few subject matters. The first one we're going to do is a look at breast cancer awareness. We're going to bring a few individuals on our show that will share their personal stories, and we are calling this month's theme, I'm a Survivor, and we are so excited for what's lined up. Our first person that will be sharing their story with us, our first survivor, is Miss Alicia Brown Young. I know her personally from Dallas, Texas, and I was able to watch her journey as she walked through with such strength her journey through breast cancer. So without further ado, let's bring her on now, family, Miss Alicia Brown Young.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my friend Bryant.
Hi, my friend. It's so good to see you.
And so good to see you as well. Thank you so much for this invitation. I'm always honored to share my journey with those who have been affected, may be affected. I know people who have been affected.
I appreciate you being here and taking the time to share your story. You are a personal hero of mine when it comes to this subject matter. Many people may not know it, but personally, even for me, I've lost loved ones due to breast cancer. My grandmother was a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And so I know what it looks like to walk with people through that journey. And what we want to do is take some time to walk through not just the journey, but the mental, emotional process through the journey. So we can get down to it. Miss Alicia Brown Young, would you share your story with us today?
I will, Brian. Let me just start by saying breast cancer is very, very prevalent in the African American community. And as we know, due to social and economic environment, sometimes that's the reason we don't have early detection. We are not able to get to the doctor. We're not having screening that's being done. So there's so many factors surrounding why African American women are dying at a faster rate than other races. But I've always been very, very conscientious of my health, and I did have some family members that had breast cancer. So I felt that based on what studies had shown that it was hereditary, and we have found out through science that it's not necessarily hereditary. Many people have in their families are the first to be diagnosed with breast cancer. But I was very, very conscientious of that and wanted to make sure I went to have my mammogram every single year without fail. Well, in 2014, like every other year, I had my breast cancer, my mammogram. Didn't think anything about it until I received a call after the mammogram to come back in because they wanted to do further testing. Now, I wasn't alarmed because that had happened before and the results were negative. Well, this time I was slightly alarmed, and I'm not really sure why, because I had no symptoms, no discomfort. There was nothing that was going on that made me to be concerned. So I go back in for the second visit, and they did a sonogram, and they told me don't get dressed until the doctor called me back in. Sure enough, the doctor called back in and said that they did find something, but they really weren't sure and could not definitively say that it was breast cancer, and that he recommended that I would do a biopsy. But prior to that, while they were doing the exam, the sonographer, while she was doing the sonogram, I watched her actions. I watched her facial expressions because I wanted to see while she was doing it, did she see something? And she said, Well, no, I'm just trying to be very thorough. Well, nevertheless, make a long story short, I come back in 3 days later for the biopsy. After the biopsy, I asked the physician at that moment, did she think it was breast cancer? And I know that they're not supposed to tell you what their thought process is, but she had been treating breast cancer for a long time. And they pretty much know when they see something, when they do a biopsy, they can pretty much tell, does this look cancerous or does it not look cancerous? And she said, well, I will tell you this. If it is cancer, it's a very small cancer. Now, I think that makes you think, okay, if it is cancer, it's a very small cancer. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine that it is cancer. So she said, but just wait on your biopsy and we'll go from there. 3 days later, I got the call, and they are very, very direct when they tell you, and they call and make that call. They said, Alicia, this is Methodist. You do have breast cancer. And I'm telling you, when I think about that, it was very insensitive, but they cannot stumble over their words. They've just got to be very direct and tell you, you do have breast cancer. So there won't be any misconception about what they just said. Well, my life at that moment, I felt I was dying, because that's what you associate. When you hear breast cancer, you think I'm dying. And there's so many different stages. There's so many different types of breast cancer. And that's why early detection is so very important. Because had I waited, because I had just had a mammogram in November, this is the very next November. And in that 1 year, I had developed stage 1 breast cancer. And then after that, after going through the testing, they said, well, let us go ahead and check the other breast, because I had a cyst there. They test the other breast, and it was there, but it was very, very small. So I am like beyond devastated at this point that I have breast cancer in both my breasts, early stage. And it was emotionally devastating. There are so many things that you think about when you go through this disease. It is so much that you think about. It's so much to take in. It's so much to absorb in such a short amount of time, because you got to make decisions on, am I going to have a lumpectomy? Am I going to have a mastectomy? There's just so much to consider. And as you know, Dr. Bailey, Sister Sheila Bailey, is my godmother. And my mother had dementia at the time, who has since passed, could not come here, of course, and walk me through this journey. So being such a part of the Bailey family, Sister Bailey said to me, she canceled every engagement, and she said, I'm going to be there for you every step of the way. So for every doctor's appointment, every doctor's visit, every chemo treatment, she was right there. And I would tell you, having a village, from my pastor and wife to the church, to my friends, to my sorority sister, my link sister. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you, I would not have made it without the support. Because it's not so much the physical that you endure going through this, even though there is some pain that you may endure. It is the emotional battle that you have. It can emotionally take you down. And I remember there's a book by Joyce Myers, and it's called A Battlefield of the Mind. And it talks about how you're fighting a war in your mind. And you know, the Bible says we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities. I felt like I wasn't fighting against something that was tangible. I felt like, okay, this is a war, and I'm going to have to get into this battle. And God clearly said, this battle is not yours, Alicia. It's mine. And I'm going to help you walk through this journey. And I kept on wanting to ask, but why me? And Pastor Bailey used to always say, no, the question is not why me, why not me? And I knew early on that this journey of me being diagnosed for breast cancer was to save others. And Pastor Bailey used to also say, if you are your biggest cause, you have a mighty small cause. So I knew that even though I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I lost my hair, I had to have 4 treatments of chemotherapy, that this journey was not just about me. It was to help some other woman to know you can look just like me, living your best life, enjoying life, and boom, your world crashes in because of a diagnosis. But God wanted me to be able to share with other people, to share with other women. You can survive. This is not a death sentence. You just got to know that you got to trust the God that you've always said. All these scriptures that we've quoted, all these Sunday school classes, BTU, singles, Bible study, young adult Bibles, all of this that we've learned, it is now to put this application into process. It's now to say, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm telling you, the pain that I went through emotionally was far worse than the pain that I went through physically. Because I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would wonder, am I going to survive this? Am I going to be a survivor? But I was determined that God, whatever path you would take me down through this journey, I wanted to walk it with grace, and I wanted to walk it with the blessing of God. And I would tell you, there were many days that I thought, surely there was somebody else that would have been a better candidate. But I knew that I had a social media platform. I knew that people, you have to recognize if you have a sphere of influence, if people will believe what you say, if people will follow what you say. And I knew that God knew that, Alicia, you're going to get some people just to think that they haven't had a mammogram ever. You're going to be able to convince some people. I need to take my health as a priority. I need to make my health a priority. I need to go get my mammogram. I have friends that are physicians. I have friends that are lawyers, well educated, who have never, over 40, never had a mammogram. And I find that sometimes, when I think about that, very disturbing. Because God did not give us a spirit of fear. And it is fear that keeps my sisters from going to the doctor, to being diagnosed with something that is treatable. It is not curable, it is treatable. And you can live many, many years. And the likelihood of you maybe dying from this, it's maybe a very small percentage if you do what you're supposed to do. You get your diagnosis, you get your treatment, and you live your life. But God clearly showed me there are some sisters out there that they need to hear your voice. They need to hear you speak and say that if you trust God, the God that you say, that you believe, that you trust, that you put all your faith in, that He is your refuge, He's your comforter, He's all of that. Let me see you walk the walk. Let me see you walk the talk that you've been talking. And I would tell you, the emotional taxing that it has on you is beyond me being able to explain. There's hearing the word cancer, I don't care if it's cancer in your toe. Just hearing that you have that word, it somehow makes you think about your life. It helps you reflect on what's important, what those things that are fleeting that you think that have been important, that's irrelevant. It makes you think about life is short. In the Bible, it talks about life is like a vapor. Here today, so you got to live. You got to live. You got to embrace whatever that's been thrown your way, whether it's cancer, whether it's diabetes, whether it's high cholesterol, whatever it is that's thrown your way, whether it's, I just lost multiple family members in less than 6 months. And after having breast cancer, losing my family members, and then my most recent situation, as I shared with you, I can still post my pictures on Facebook and smile and enjoy life, because what God has shown me is that I am not my circumstance. And I am not, when I lost my hair, I am not my hair. When I lost my breast, I am not my breast. What I am is a child of God. And I, for the rest of my days, will share with people that if you believe and if you trust in the Word of God, whatever it is that you are faced with, whether you're struggling with a diagnosis emotionally or physically, you can overcome this. Is it easy? It ain't easy. It ain't easy. But if you got to see counseling, go to counseling. I am in counseling right now, which is why I could not come on this call until later. And there is no shame in seeking out help for yourself. I mean, to have dealt with breast cancer, to lose my mother, my 2 brothers, all in a short amount of time, you got to seek help to help you process. Pray, surround people, have people that surround you, that love you, that can support you, that can encourage you, because you cannot let this battle attack your mind, because if it attacks your mind, it will attack your body, and then your body breaks down. And then you are of no good to no one, not even yourself. So you've got to think, you've got to reflect on, okay, God, what is it that you want me to learn from being diagnosed with breast cancer? What is it? What's the lesson that I had to learn here? I had to learn that this breast cancer was not all about me. I had to learn to tell people that to have a head full of hair and to be bald head, to know that it doesn't matter. I still have my life. To know that I lost my fingernails. I lost my toenails. They turned black. All of those physical things became irrelevant because what I wanted to have was my mind stayed and fixed on Jesus. That I knew that God would say, Alicia, I need you to focus on me. Focus on me. You let me do what I got to do, but I need you to do your part. I need you to eat better, and I'm still working on that. Eat better. It is hard for me to give up those now and laters and that butter pecan ice cream. Oh my God. Okay, I digress.
I can't let go of fried chicken, so I got my own issue right now. Oh fried chicken, peanut butter, M&Ms. I can't let them go.
Yes, yes. And let me tell you, and exercising, I will tell you, you can't see behind me, but behind me is my stationary bicycle. And I had committed, which I bought about 3 months ago. And I moved it from the bedroom to here, my living room, to upstairs, to back to here. And I have not gotten on it yet. So the exercise I have not implemented that into my daily routine, which I'm going to. And I am eating better. I am eating better and taking vitamins and getting some sunshine. There are some self-care things that we have got to take care of ourselves because it is not all about, reading books and about going to healthcare promotion. Some of these things we've got to take, we can't just be reading about it and looking on YouTube. We got to do it. We got to do like Nike says, we got to do it. But I would tell you the journey emotionally for me was more emotional than physical. Thank God my physical issues that I had were very minimum. I really would tell you, I was very blessed that I had a double mastectomy. No, I never had to take a pain pill. I did fine. Of course, my doctor told me, my oncologist did say to me, she said, you got to have chemo. We're going to just do 4 rounds. We're going to do it for precautionary measures. She said, but you are going to lose your hair. And I remember thinking,
now listen, y'all got to know this. I know y'all don't know her personally, but Miss Alicia is a diva. Like I've known her now over, it's probably been almost 7 or 8 years. I've never seen her wear the same outfit ever. Like I'm talking about, I've never seen her have an off day. If she comes out of that house, she is done. And that was one of the things that encouraged me about your story, was watching you show your nails when they were black and walk around with your short hair, and to watch, that's what I call strength. And so there's some woman out there or some person out there that's walking with someone who's experienced breast cancer this way, and they are just down in their funk. Can you give them some words about, I know you just told us before that you are not those things, that there are bigger things at play, but can you just speak, I just feel like doing to speak to them right now in the moment and just encourage them about where they are or the people around them, how to help their loved ones walk through this journey?
Absolutely. I don't want to minimize, because how everyone processes this journey is different. You're having a support system. Some people, they don't have a support system. They don't have friends. They don't have a village. You have got whatever it is that's deep down inside. That's way, way, way down deep. You got to pull that up, and you got to find your joy. You got to know you can't give up, even though there are times that you're feeling like you look in the mirror. I remember looking in the mirror and I thought, wow, no eyelashes, no hair. And for me, as Brian said, I've always loved fashion. I love fashion. I love my hair. I love my makeup. That's just who I am. But it didn't make me any different because I lost my hair, my eyelashes, because I was painting these eyelashes on, and I got a custom wig. I got a custom wig that was made, and then once my hair grew back really fast after I had chemo, and I wore my hair short for a minute, and I would tell you, I'm just not a short hair girl. I've never had short hair, and that was working me. But whatever it is that whatever, however you come out on this journey, whether you're gonna have a new hairstyle, be you, do you. Don't let your hair define who you are. Don't let your eyebrows. One thing I didn't do, if I was feeling bad, I didn't go to church because everybody knew me as for having a very jubilant and vibrant personality. If I walk into the church and I was looking sad, I didn't want 100 people saying, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" So if I didn't feel good, I stayed at home, because when I got to church, and it wasn't that I was being pretentious, when I got to church and I was smiling, "Hey, hey, hey, everybody," I truly felt that. I truly meant that. I was never faking that I felt good. When I came to church and I was around people, I felt good. Sometimes you got to make yourself feel good. You got to get up and if you wear makeup, if that's who you are, put your makeup on. If you don't want to wear a wig or wear a ponytail or wear whatever to cover your bald head, do that. The moment you free yourself from what people think about what you look like, because you're trying to live. You're trying to live. So when you free yourself from what people think, you have freed yourself. Because I'm telling you now, like I said, I couldn't just walk out without a wig on or something on my head. That just wasn't me. Wasn't me. But I've seen some people that look absolutely beautiful, but that just wasn't me. So when you're comfortable in the skin that you're in, just know that on the other side of this journey, there is joy, there is peace, there is so much light on the other side. When you're in it, it's hard. I had so many people that were survivors that would call me and they would say, they would encourage me, but when you're in it, it's hard. It's hard to see the other side. It's hard to see where I am right now. But believe me, I want you all to hear me good when I say this. I'm on the other side. And on that side, oh my gosh, when I look back and see where God brought me from, all I can tell you is it's by the grace of God that my journey helped me. It helped me to be a better person. It helped other people who I had so many calls with people that, "Can you talk to my sister that just got diagnosed? Can you?" And I would tell you, at one moment I did feel overwhelmed. I felt like I don't want another person to call me to help them through their journey, because I'm still helping myself. I can't help you. But God says, "No, you're gonna help them. No, you gonna help them. You may not want to," because I felt like some days I don't want to think that I had it. I don't even want to think about the word breast cancer. I don't want to think about pink. I don't want to think about hope, faith. I don't want to think about none of that. I just want to erase it, that it never happened. But God, He said, "No, this is chapter whatever of your book, and you have more chapters to write. But in this chapter, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna share with people. You're gonna be a testimony to people. You're going to tell people that they can survive. You're going to tell people it's not about what you look like. It's not about having breasts or not having breasts. It's not about having hair or not having hair. You are wonderfully and fearfully made." And God says, because He knows the plans He has for you. He knew already that you were going to be in this state where you will be diagnosed, but do not, and let me just say this. There are many people who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and they have chosen to not share and to remain private, and that is their personal choice. And we cannot condemn people who choose not to share their testimony, because that may not have been the platform that God gave them. And we have to accept it. I know many people that I did not know had breast cancer that I found out after I had, but they have chosen to remain private about it, and that's their choice. But God has given some of us a mouthpiece to share with others how you can survive it. You have to have that warrior mentality and have to know that with God walking with you on this journey and having a village, having friends, having support, reaching out, not being afraid, not being ashamed, And don't be ashamed. I was amazed to not understand why people don't tell. Some people don't tell because there's a stigma associated from years ago with breast cancer. Oh, yeah, woman not having breasts. The technology is something else these days. They can replace everything. You can replace your hair. You can get you some eyebrows. You can get some breasts. You can get everything that you need if you want to replace the physical. But after you get to replacing all of that, just make sure your heart, that God has worked on your heart in the process of replacing all of the physical things, because it needs to be a heart change in this process.
Oh, that's good.
It's okay to want to change the physical, but if your heart is not changed, if you don't just throw off some of those little petty things and mend some relationships or mend some broken friendship, if you don't find that that's some things that you need to do, then you may get hit with something else, because God may say, take another lap. You didn't get it. You didn't get that this journey was not for you. And I just want every woman to know that know somebody or is in the journey. Keep fighting. You gotta keep fighting. When we are born into this life, we don't know what it is. We know how we got here, but my mama used to say, we don't know how we gonna leave. And since we don't know, and you get something that may threaten that way, you're gonna leave. Like when I got breast cancer, I thought, okay, well, maybe this is it. But God says, no, not now, because right now I want you to share with other women. And there are men. Let's know that men can be diagnosed with breast cancer, even though it's rare, but that you can survive. You can survive. There is hope if you believe, and you got to just keep on the path of knowing that God has you, and trust that He's going to carry you through this. And I had accepted, Lord, whatever my fate may be, whatever that may be, I will accept that. But I can say that I know I helped somebody on the journey of fighting this disease.
We have time for one more question. I'm interested to know what it was like for the people around you who loved you. And I know you are a strong woman. You are the one that's dependable. What was it like sharing that initial news with them and their reactions? And for some people I know, like you said, they choose not to share with people because of stigmas and the weight of it. How did you work through that?
Well, it's so interesting you asked that. I remember when I got the call, I had gone to had the biopsy, and I saw Pastor Carter that night at an event. And I shared with him, I said, hey, I just want you to pray for me. I said, I had a biopsy today, and I said, I may have breast cancer. He said, okay, I'll be praying. But I really just kind of said it in passing, and then I called Dr. Dan Jones, who's a podiatrist, but Dr. Jones works at Methodist. And so he said, well, I told him the possibility, but he had already called. And this is how God goes before you. This is the favor of God. Dr. Dan Jones, when I told him what may be, I just said what I may. I had just had the biopsy, didn't have any results. He called the oncologist. This is a week before Christmas. He called it, and it's going to be very difficult to get into appointments. He called the oncologist, Dr. Hart. I have a friend who may have breast cancer, but we don't know yet. Want to know if you can see her if she gets a diagnosis? They said yes. He called the radiologist, Dr. Keisha Henderson. I have a friend that may have diagnosed. Will you be able to see her? He called the head, Dr. Koonsman, who was the head of breast cancer at Methodist, who is now the head of Methodist Hospital. I have a friend who may. He put them all on alert. I got the call. I called Sister Bailey, then I called Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones called all three of those doctors immediately. I called friends. People swarmed my house. This is, of course, way before COVID. Had about 50 people at my house praying, just coming over. Dr. Jones set up all my appointments. I had an appointment the very next 2 days before Christmas. All the doctors met together. There's nothing but the favor of God that allowed me to have quality health care and a village that went with me to my appointment. Bunny Cladd, Katrina Long, Sister Bailey went with me to my appointment. Every appointment after that, they were with me. And I'm telling you, with them, I would tell you, it was hard for them to see somebody up close and personal. Many of us know people with breast cancer, but sometimes it's a friend of a friend or just an acquaintance. But this is the first person that many of my friends knew up close and personal. Many of my close friends, they were heartbroken, but they would spend the night with me. I had so much food in my refrigerator because from the links, AKs, the church, I'm not even a deaconess, the deaconess at the church, they took care of me like I was an orphan child because they knew that my mother could not be here. And when I tell you, it brought an awareness to my circle, to my people that were in my inner circle, and even those that were on the periphery of my circle, to know breast cancer is real. It can affect even those of us who had no symptoms, and even those of us who go every year for a mammogram. So they were able to, many of them had not had theirs, and I really got onto them about that, but they went right away because it puts a sense of urgency and fear in you when somebody that you talk to every day has gotten diagnosed, who takes care of themselves and goes every year. So my friends and family were so supportive, and I did my first Susan B. Komen walk the first year. Had an awesome time, just bringing awareness. We've got to bring awareness to something that is treatable, and that's what we have to understand. That's what the message is. The message is it's not a death sentence. It's treatable. You can live. You can survive it. But when we wait and when we don't go to the doctor out of fear, we put ourselves behind the 8 ball for treatment. Then versus stage 1, you're dealing with maybe stage 2 or stage 3. Then where it's possibly going to your lymph nodes. And those are things that you want to prevent. But no matter what stage, it's survivable. Even stage 4, it's survivable. We just got to trust God and do what the doctors tell us to do. We've got to be obedient to God and obedient to the doctors.
Miss Alicia, words cannot express how grateful I am for you sharing your story with us today. I know you personally, and I know I've called you survivor over and over again, and I've called you a strong woman. But the reason why I say that is because you walked your season, even in your bad days, with so much strength and faith in God. And we all know it, every day wasn't easy, but I want to personally say thank you for allowing people around you and the world to see what a woman of strength looks like in walking through this. And even knowing that even being a woman of strength, there's some bad days and some scary moments attached to it.
Yes.
But your story, I believe, has helped so many people here on the live. If you're watching now, just put in some messages for Miss Alicia so she can go back and watch it and tell her that you've enjoyed it. Miss Alicia, we have maybe a minute left. Can you give us some just final words overall, just a final takeaway for us today?
I would say, Brian, the final takeaway is whatever path, whatever your journey is, embrace your journey. Your journey may not be my journey. My journey is not your journey. My story is not your story. You have to take that journey, make the best out of that journey, learn from that journey, help somebody else on their journey. You've got to be able to know that God's got you. No matter how difficult it may seem at times, God's got your back. And the many of us who have known God, as we say, all of our lives, it's coming out the womb, I knew him. But we know that we walk with him a long time. And when he puts us to the test, when we're faced with a life-threatening illness, we got to be able to pour all that we've learned, all that we've been taught over the years about trusting God, having faith, just need the faith of a mustard seed, all of that, we got to put it into practice. And no matter whether it's breast cancer, whether it's heart disease, whether it's just whatever kind of ailment or illness you may have, whatever it is, there's nothing too big for God, and there's nothing too big that you cannot overcome. You have to know that you are a survivor, you are a warrior, and you are an overcomer.
Well, thank you so much. I've enjoyed you today. Thank you once again for being a part of Sound Mind here on Hope TV. Friends and family, I hope you enjoyed it. She is a amazing woman. I could go through her resume of things that I just personally have known that she's accomplished. But this journey is definitely one of the highest accolades as a survivor of breast cancer.
Yes.
I want to leave with you one of the things that blessed me from our time today. She said, no matter what stage you're in, you can survive it. And I want to let you know out there, you may not have breast cancer. You may know someone else who has it, or you just may be dealing with a bad season of life right now. I want to let you know that no matter what stage you're in, you can survive it. And when you come out, your mind and your heart will be well.
Yes.
Well, until next time, I want you to take care, be safe out there, hug someone, love someone, support someone, and make sure that if you have not gotten a mammogram, go get your mammogram. Amen? Amen. Well, until next time, take care. We love you, and we'll see you next time here on Sound Mind.